Hello, beautiful souls. Welcome to Atmanex's episode 5, where we'll be talking about what is Bhagavad Gita and why does it find people when life begins asking deeper questions. Before you listen to this episode, just pause for a moment. Close your eyes gently, take a very deep breath in, and slowly release. Now, while keeping your eyes closed, ask yourself honestly. How many battles are you fighting silently within yourself? The pressure to become something, the fear of losing something, the confusion of choosing correctly, the exhaustion of constantly thinking, the noise of the world, the noise inside your mind. Now, imagine yourself standing on a battlefield not of weapons, but of emotions. And somewhere in the middle of that battlefield, you stand alone, confused, just like Arjuna once stood. And it is exactly there, in the middle of the human confusion, that the Bhagavad Gita begins. Many people know the name Bhagavad Gita. Maybe they have heard it somewhere, or read it somewhere, or heard from their parents, friends, or somebody else. But very few truly know what it is. The Bhagavad Gita is not merely a religious scripture, it is one of the deepest conversations ever recorded between human confusion and divine clarity. It is a dialogue between Lord Krishna and Arjuna. The word Bhagavad means divine, Gita means song. So, Bhagavad Gita means the divine song. It is part of the Mahabharata and contains 700 verses and 18 chapters. But what makes it extraordinary is not its size, it is where it was spoken. Not in a temple, not in a forest, not in isolation, but in the middle of a war. Why? Because the Bhagavad Gita was never meant only for peaceful moments. It was meant for moments when life becomes difficult, when mind collapses, when clarity disappears, and when emotions overpower intelligence. That is why the Gita still feels alive. The battlefield of Kurukshetra is symbolic too. It represents the battlefield inside every human being. Every day, human beings fight wars within: discipline versus distraction, courage versus fear, awareness versus ego, truth versus illusion. And Arjuna represents humanity itself. A strong person externally, but internally overwhelmed. That is why the Bhagavad Gita feels deeply human. It begins not with enlightenment, but with emotional breakdown. What makes Bhagavad Gita so powerful? Let us understand that now. Because it answers questions most people silently carry throughout life. Questions like, why does the mind suffer? What is the purpose of life? Why does success not always bring peace? How should one handle fear and anxiety? What happens after death? Who am I beyond this body and identity? How can one live peacefully while fulfilling responsibilities? The Gita does not merely motivate, it transforms understandings. Let us understand the core teaching of the Bhagavad Gita. The Bhagavad Gita contains many layers of wisdom, but let us explore some of its most powerful teachings so that you get the essence of Bhagavad Gita. Firstly, I'll be talking about Karma Yoga, the wisdom of action. One of the most famous teachings of the Gita is Karmanyevadi karaste ma phaleshu kadachana, which means you have the right to perform actions, but not to become attached to the results. This is one of the deepest psychological teachings ever spoken. Krishna is not saying do not care about results. He is saying do not become mentally imprisoned by results. I'll give you a very common modern example. A student studies sincerely but becomes emotionally destroyed because of fear of marks. Or a businessman works hard but loses peace because of obsession with success. The Gita teaches give your best fully, but do not destroy your inner peace over outcomes because attachment creates anxiety and anxiety weakens action itself. Now, talking about the second teaching, the mind can become your greatest friend or enemy. The Gita repeatedly explains the importance of mastering the mind. Krishna says, for one who has conquered the mind is the best friend. But for one who has failed to do so, the mind becomes the greatest enemy. Think deeply about this. Most suffering today comes not from reality itself, but from uncontrolled thoughts, overthinking, comparison, fear, imagined scenarios. So the Gita teaches inner mastery is greater than outer achievement. Now let's move on to the third teaching. The soul is eternal. One of the most comforting teachings of the Gita is this: the soul is neither born nor does it die. Krishna explains that the body changes, but consciousness continues. Just as a person changes clothes, the soul changes bodies. This teaching reduces fear, especially the fear of death or loss. The Gita teaches people to look beyond temporary existence. Now, let us move on to the fourth teaching, which is one of the most powerful shlokas. Krishna says, Yada yada hi dharmasya glanir bhavati bharata abhyutthanam adharmasya tadatmanam srijamyaham. Meaning, whenever righteousness declines, unrighteousness rises, I manifest myself. This shloka is deeply powerful. Most people think it only means God physically appearing, but its deeper meaning is profound. Whenever darkness increases, consciousness rises. Whenever humanity loses balance, wisdom returns. Whenever people become disconnected from truth, life sends awakening. This awakening may come through a teacher, a spiritual experience, a difficult phase, inner realization, or sacred wisdom like the Bhagavad Gita itself. This is why the Gita feels timeless, because humanity repeatedly loses balance and repeatedly searches for wisdom again. I'll now talk about the fifth teaching, that the Gita does not teach escaping life. This is extremely important. Krishna never tells Arjuna, run away. Instead, he says, rise, live consciously. The Bhagavad Gita does not teach escapism at all. It teaches balance, fulfill responsibilities, but do not lose yourself internally while doing so. This is true spirituality. Now, let us discuss why the Bhagavad Gita is relevant at every age. Many people say, I will read the Gita when I grow old, but confusion does not wait for your old age. Fear does not wait. Anxiety does not wait. So today, even young people struggle deeply. Emotional instability, identity crisis, social media pressure, comparison, lack of peace. So the Bhagavad Gita teaches what schools rarely teach: how to understand the mind, how to handle emotions, how to remain calm, how to live with purpose, how to think clearly. This wisdom is needed at every age. What do you feel is the hidden essence of Bhagavad Gita? The hidden message of Gita is The real transformation begins within, not outside. Human beings spend their whole lives trying to control the world, but the Gita teaches first, understand yourself, because a peaceful mind sees clearly, an aware person acts wisely, and a conscious human being suffers less unnecessarily. So there are millions of people continuing to come back to Bhagavad Gita, read Bhagavad Gita, explore it, because every single time people suffer, they begin searching for truth. And the Bhagavad Gita speaks directly to the human soul, not with fear, but with clarity, not with blind beliefs, but with understanding. That is why people often say the Bhagavad Gita enters your life when your soul is ready. And perhaps that is true, because some books give information, but some books transform the way you see existence itself. And the Bhagavad Gita is one of them. It is not merely a book to be read once, it is wisdom to be lived, a mirror for the mind, a guide during confusion, a comparison during suffering, and a reminder that even in the middle of life's greatest battles, peace is possible, clarity is possible, and transformation is possible. Hari Om Tat Sat. See you again in next podcast. I hope you liked it, and may God bless you all. Thank you.